Hello there and welcome back to the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds. My name is Ryan Rastell, PGA head professional here at the club and also equipment expert for Golfshake.com. We've got two brand new sets of irons from Cobra to tell you about. So we've got the DS-ADAPT iron and DS-ADAPT MAX. So two very different models for very different golfers. So take a look at these and then we'll talk about the tech. So in both of these irons, we've been sent half a set, so a 5, 7, 9 and gap wedge in both of them to test. And I'm going to hit shots with all of them here on the Trackman and show you the subtle differences between the two. So the DS-ADAPT is a slightly more compact looking model. We've still got some of the same technology in here. You can see the head that little bit smaller and the way it looks behind the ball is that little bit more compact as well. So we've got a 4-piece construction in here. So we've got a 360 Speedshell face. We've got the hot face technology that some of the metal woods use as well. So if we don't hit the center of the face, we're still getting really good ball speed out the heel and the toe. We've got power bridge weighting in there again, which is helping to balance the head and helping to stiffen up certain sections to get more ball speed. And then we've got more face deflection in here than ever before. The lofts are fairly strong as well. So in this model, 7 irons 27 degrees, which is pretty strong. And in the Adapt Max, they're a little bit weaker, okay? So in that model, everything's been weakened off ever so slightly to help with the launch. What I really like about some of these irons is the white paint fill that you get in that bottom groove there to really help with the alignment. I think that's a really nice addition. And there is a very kind of big difference between how they look behind the golf ball. So like I say, the Adapt iron looks that little bit more compact and probably to those golf purists out there probably looks a little bit nicer. When we look at the Adapt Max, we've obviously got more width in the sole, we've got more offset in the hosel there, the weight's a little bit lower and deeper, so these are easier to hit in effect and easier to launch. Let's go hit some shots. We're going to kind of put iron for iron against each other, and I'll also show you on there as well when we look at the results kind of what loft each of these irons is. Now I've just measured them in the loft and lie machine here at the golf club and put that information into the Trackman there so we can really compare iron for iron in this test. So we're going to start off with DS-ADAPT MAX, and I've got the gap wedge to start with, okay? So we can see a slightly wider sole, and again, we've got this nice line at the bottom there to help with alignment. You can see I've actually hit a couple already and actually found the middle of the face for a change. So let's see how this reacts when we hit a few shots with it. I actually quite like the way it looks behind the ball. I always think with Cobra stuff, particularly their kind of higher handicap irons, they do look a little bit more upright, which I don't mind either, to be honest. It looks quite good. Let's see what it feels like. Yeah, certainly feels more solid than I was expecting it to off the face. It feels pretty good. Again, easy to launch as you'd expect. That wider sole really helping to get the ball in the air. And yeah, a much nicer feel than I was expecting. I think those microspheres in there and that kind of urethane that's in the head there really does make these feel certainly a lot closer to kind of a forged or more solid construction iron than they really should do. So yeah, pretty good. I'm going to hit some more with this and then we'll move on to the 9 iron. So when we move into 9, you can really see that it's that little bit stronger in its loft. Again, looks a little bit more upright, and again with that nice white sort of bottom groove that we've got in there. Yeah, it feels, again, really nice and solid. Comes off quite powerfully too. Yeah, very similar to what we saw in the gap wedge. We've obviously got that 4-piece construction here in the head, so lots going on in there to try and make this iron feel good, as well as perform really nicely. You can definitely see the offset now, which is, you know, a little bit more pronounced, but yeah, really does feel good. So now onto the 7 iron, okay? So we've got still loads of sole width in there. You can really notice it now that you sit it behind the ball. You can almost just see the back edge of the golf club there, which I don't mind at all. It definitely looks more offset too, but it does look really strong loft-wise. And certainly comes off very strong as well. Wow, that came off like a bullet. A little bit down the left there, but dare say that's gone a long way. Yeah, so I've gone over 200 yards, which is pretty good for a 7 iron. Reminder, this is 29 degrees, this one. Wow, it's like a bullet coming out of a gun. It comes off so fast. Yeah, Very impressive. Let's see what the 5 does. So now we're on to 5 iron. Again, we've got that really nice bit of forgiveness. Again, we can see probably a bit more pronounced offset on this as well. But I mean, if that 7 iron was going as far as that, let's see what this does. Again, feels quick off the face. Really nice high flight though. Yeah, it's long. Nearly 230 that one. Again, they're just so fast off the face. God knows what's going to happen when we hit the other model that's more, stronger lofted actually. So yeah, we'd expect to see maybe a little bit more distance, but yeah, I mean, they're very, very good. So now on to DS-ADAPT. We're going to start gap wedge again. Obviously looks a little bit cleaner, nicer, smaller head, more like the sort of wedge that potentially better players would use, kind of a more bladed looking, I suppose. Yeah, and it does feel more solid. Yeah, a little bit more solid off the face. The sole feels slightly different through the turf as well. You can tell it's not quite as wide and chunky as the Max model is. But again, still looks really nice and feels good. Yeah, very, very good. Easy to use, easy to get in the air. Distance looks pretty decent as well. Reminder, this is ever so slightly stronger as well than what we saw in the Max model, and we are getting a couple more yards, but we'll have a look at that in a bit. So 9 iron, again, still looks nice behind the ball. Not as much offset as we saw in the Max, but definitely looks very strong. And comes off very strong as well. I mean, that's come off like a bullet. 171, 9 iron, brilliant. That is very powerful. But yeah, I mean, we would expect that. It's a bit stronger than what we would expect. So, this is only a couple of degrees weaker than my 7 iron is in my set. So, yeah, very, very good. Just feels really nice off the face, to be honest. Very powerful, but still the strike feels good. And again, I think it's that addition of that microsphere technology that's in there that's doing that. 7 iron. Okay, so again, this is where we really started to see yardage creep up with the Max. See what happens with this one. It does look so strong. Wow, that is a rocket. 211, nice. It's like a 5 iron basically, and that's kind of how it's coming out. Again, just that sound. It's a real sort of crunch when you hit it. Comes off the face so quick. I'm excited to hit the 5 iron, see what that does. I mean, this just looks like it's got hardly any loft on. You can just see the back edge of the golf club now. Let's see what this does. Oh my God. Let's have a look. 249. Thank you. Straight down the middle. It's a driving iron, basically. Actually, very good. The flight is very, very good as well. It's just very forgiving, but also very, very fast. That is miles. Let's have a look at that. 243, it's your average 5 iron, straight down the middle there. Yeah, I mean, the DS-ADAPT model versus Max are just ridiculously powerful. Both very, very good, very different, which I guess is what they're kind of designed to be doing. But let's have a look at the numbers and see exactly what these are doing. So let's take a little bit of a look at the results that we've just got from the Trackman. So we'll start at the bottom end, so 50-degree wedge or gap wedge, should I say. So 47 degrees in DS-ADAPT, 49 degrees in the ADAPT Max. So a slight difference there. So we would expect a little bit of a difference in the distance, and we are seeing that, 122 versus 130, but you can see the Max stops pretty much dead really when it lands. So 122 carry, 122 total. So very, very good at stopping. We can see spin wise, it's that little bit higher than we are seeing in DS-ADAPT. So yeah, that little bit more control in the ball flight, but it's doing exactly what it's supposed to. It's interesting that we look at the height though, and the DS-ADAPT actually goes about 3 feet higher on average, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. But 3 feet is fairly negligible, really. It is pretty close. When we move on to 9 iron, we can see a little bit of a difference there as well. So we've gone from 36 degrees in DS-ADAPT, which is a strong 9 iron, to 38 in the Max. So again, that couple of degrees weaker. We can see there 164 carry, total in the Max versus 169 in Adapt. So there is that sort of 5 yard difference there, which those 2 degrees kind of account for really. But when we look at the flight now, we can see the Max is that little bit higher. Again, 4 feet is pretty negligible, but it is that little bit higher. When we move into 7-iron, this is when we start to see these lofts kind of come into play, and some of the distances that we're hitting them are just ridiculous. So the 7-iron, so 27 degrees in Adapt, which is a 5-iron, and 29 degrees in the Adapt Max, which again is a slightly weaker 5-iron, maybe towards a 6. But yeah, we can certainly see, I mean, the distances are just frightening. So the ball speed we're getting is pretty high, towards 130 miles an hour in both. Obviously the Max, 111 feet it's peaking at versus 91, and 202 total and 206 with Adapt. So, I mean, 205 yards with the 7-iron is just bonkers, really. It's kind of 30 yards longer than I would be hitting it. Well, just about anyway, 25 yards certainly. Yeah, I mean, it is scary how fast these come off the face. Now, for me, 91 feet is quite low for a 7-iron as well. So in the Adapt iron, it was almost like a driving iron type flight. And then when we move on to the 5-iron, it gets a little bit more that way as well. So, I mean, some of the distances, particularly in the DS-ADAPT iron, that we were getting with 5 is just out of this world. It's kind of 5 wood kind of distance. So let's have a look at the loft. So 22.5 degrees, the one that I had in Max, and 20 degrees in DS-ADAPT. So I think as standard it's supposed to be 21, but the one I had here was 20 degrees. So it's, I mean, for me, that's a strong 3-iron loft in a 5-iron. We can see flight-wise 83 feet, so even lower. It's even tougher to get off the ground. The spin super low at 3,400 RPM. And obviously it's carrying 226 and 246 total with a 5-iron, which I've not hit many 5-irons at 246 yards before. Now, I'm not saying that this is horrendously bad. I think that there are players out there who, you know, there's guys I play with here at the club that hit down and across the ball so much, chop it straight up in the air and spin it loads, that maybe an iron like this could actually control their ball flight for them. For me, it obviously doesn't work because that's not how I hit the golf ball, and I actually preferred hitting the Max model in all these irons because of the ball flight that I was getting. Certainly if we look at the 5-iron in the Max, it's still going miles, so 213 carry, 227 total, so not really stopping particularly quickly, but we can see the height getting up to 100 feet and the spin getting up nearly 1,000 RPM more, so quite significantly there really. But yeah, I mean, these are strong. I mean, the irons are quick off the face, they go a long way. The kind of lower in iron that you get, the more difficult they are to sort of control and stop on the green, so that's something to be mindful of as well. This is maybe where the conversation of do we go for a hybrid in these and kind of swap out some of the irons comes in really. But you know, I think if I had the 4-iron in the DS-ADAPT, almost driving iron shafting it or something like that, I think I could probably hit it about 260 with a 4-iron, which is just crazy. But it could be quite a good club to have off the tee, I don't know. But yeah, certainly it shows the difference between these 2 irons in kind of the loft is having a bit of an effect, but also the way that the CG is placed is helping with the spin and the height that we're hitting, and particularly when we get into those longer irons that we use there. But certainly both of these models of iron are ridiculously fast. They go a long way. If you're that type of player who likes to be stood on the tee knowing that you're hitting 2 clubs less than the other guys with you, then you know, probably the DS-ADAPT could be a model of iron that could suit you quite nicely. It's going to be one that, you know, your friends are not going to be hitting an 8-iron and hitting it as far as your 8-iron. Absolutely no way, because of obviously things that we've spoken about here. It is ridiculously strong. They come off the face quick, but they may be able to stop it on the green a little bit quicker than you do. So that's something to bear in mind as well. Like everything that we talk about here, go and get fitted, go and try these, because they are extremely good. And you know, a good custom fitter can maybe try and move some of the shafts around, as well as the lies, lofts, etc., to make them suit you a little bit better. And you may find that you're able to control the ball flight a little bit better as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's been great trying those. Really good to see. I mean, they're so strong, and it's almost very different to the irons I would use. So it's quite good to see how far some of these do go. And you know, if you really push the sort of limits of how far these irons can go, and you really give them a bit of a hit, I mean, some of the ball speeds and distances are frightening. Let us know what you think. Drop it in the comment section below. Keep watching all of our content to help you play more and play better, and we'll see you soon.